Hey Dane, I'll be right with you in a moment. I'm not here to make an appointment. Okay, well, I'll be getting off work soon as I'm done with this floor. Hey, I think you need it. I need to talk to you. Only after you finish that. Do you think I'm drunk or something? All I can tell is that you're exhausted. Whatever the reason, I know that will help. I've been thinking a lot about the things Jeanette and Rudy said last night. If there really was anything she saw in me back when she chose me over him, what was it? Rudy and I are so different. He said he fascinates her. Well, I want to know, since you went for him too, what is it about him? Why do you choose him, and why did she? I can tell you why I fell for him, but you'll have to ask Jeanette why she loves Rudy. I wouldn't expect her to give the same response. The truth is, I gave up. You cared about her studying in school. That doesn't mean it was a lame excuse. I wasn't really lying, but it wasn't the true reason. I didn't want to be too much of a distraction because I was getting too distracted by her. I was only able to be with her, really with her, when her grandma wasn't around. She's 18, close to 19 now, but the feeling that I'm not any better than Rudy began to hit me when I picked her up from school one day. Her grandma was going to be working late that day, and I couldn't wait to get Jeanette back home. While I waited, I watched all these kids getting picked up by their parents, kids too young to drive themselves home, kids old enough to go out in secret because they were too young for their parents to allow it. When she emerged from that crowd, having blended in so well, I'd mistaken her for any one of them at first glance. She smiled in my direction, running. Then she looked back as a kid called out to her and waved. It wasn't until then I realized those kids are her peers. What separates her from the crowd isn't my obvious favoritism of her over them, but all of what happens away from her school life and any time she's not with her school friends. Don't forget that she wanted you just as much as you wanted her. I was the first person to comfort her after what she went through with Rudy. Whether or not he had something that night that would be the perfect excuse for holding her in my arms, I had just come back from finding out we weren't cousins after all. I was so distracted by that, instead of being disgusted to hear that Rudy told her to imagine herself with me instead, I was already internally trying to figure out how to turn her night around. At the time, I thought it wasn't selfish of me to want to make her feel good, but sometimes I wonder how much of it was out of pride. I convinced myself it was the right thing to do, giving her what she wanted because I was the one she desired, but I should have given her time to heal because sometimes she would get so melancholy and I didn't know how to help. It stung me when she'd say his name, and I couldn't tell if she sounded sad because of the disappointment he'd been or if she missed him. I was her boyfriend, not him, and it was wrong of me, but sometimes I'd just wait for her to finish without offering any comforting words because I hoped she'd just stop talking if she was going to mention him. Then I resented the school she went to, wanting her with me all the time, but I was afraid that one wrong move when we got to be together again would make me no different from him. After I picked her up from school that day, I started to see things differently. I had been selfish. It started out as love, but my lust for her was corrupting it. I thought if I kept my distance until she graduated, it would give her the time she needed to heal, and it would give me time to reevaluate what I feel for her. I thought, if this is real love, I won't need her to be with me all the time, and it will grow inside me the more I miss her. If I can love her as much as I did in the beginning, then it would be enough to really last. Instead of telling her any of this, I broke her heart. I told her my plans for moving out, but I got upset because I didn't really want to move. I blamed it on things that aren't even true, and I feel like it's my fault she's with Rudy because one of those things I said, it was a complete fabrication. Well, what did you tell her? I implied... Go on. I won't get upset. After all, I broke up with Rudy, not the other way around. I told her I wasn't her first, implying I thought Rudy was, even though I know that isn't true. I thought she'd get angry and move on, pretending she no longer had feelings for me. I thought if it's real love, we'll be getting back together again when it's easier for both of us, which I think is stupid now, because if you have to maintain a relationship with someone, or it will be as though nothing ever happened. I can't be angry with you for your accusation. That was more of an implication. Because there's this huge part of me that knew deep down things just couldn't continue with the way things were going. This will sound horrible, but I wished Rudy would have one more chance with her, find that it's not everything he hoped it would be, and then he'd be disappointed and come find me. Instead, I'm the one who's disappointed because I was right. I had a feeling that if there was a chance of it happening, it would. Of course, I thought she'd shoot him down. This isn't really nice of me, considering I was his girlfriend, but I keep picturing something where Jeanette would still be with you, and she'd firmly tell him nothing would ever happen because she'd only love you. Now I know it was just wishful thinking. You want him back? I never wanted him gone. I want him happy, and even if it hurt to find out last night that he's happier than he's been in months, now that he's with Jeanette, it still hurts a lot less than watching him pretending to be happy with me. Did you return Jeanette's hat and Rudy's clothes? I don't want to bother them anymore. I could hardly sleep last night, and you don't look like you slept at all. It's just not worth it. It stresses us out, but makes them think we're the ones being crazy. I slept a little, but I kept having the same nightmare again and again. I was running up and down flights of stairs with hardly any lighting, following the sounds of Jeanette's cry for help, but just when I thought I was about to reach her voice, it would get distant again. It was too dark for me to even see her, but I could hear her crying for help. Do you think her willingness to be in a relationship with Rudy is really out of wanting to be with him? Or do you think it's a cry for help? I don't want to believe this is what she wants, but I think if it is what she desires, the desire for him in and of itself is a cry for help. Are we supposed to sit back and watch this happen? No. We have to live our lives and let them find out for themselves if it's a bad idea. The chances are, the more they receive discouragement, the more determined they'll be to prove themselves as a couple. Please don't use the term couple applied to them. It's making me feel nauseated. You feel nauseated because you need food. It's time you had more than coffee. But it makes me feel weird too. I'll refrain from mentioning it from now on. Thanks for the coffee. It's the least I could do. You showed up as soon as you could last night to help me, and I was probably overreacting, but you were still there for me. So thank you. You're welcome. In return, I'll pay for lunch. I ate already. Thank you anyway. I would feel weird eating in front of you. At least let me get you something to repay you. To repay me, you could let me cut your hair sometime. Call me tomorrow when I have my appointment scheduled with me and we can sort it out. Why'd you pick Rudy? After all we've been through, I knew I could rely on him, and that's what I desire most right now. Rudy won't let me be absorbed in self-pity. He gives me encouragement to live life again. There's a feeling of adrenaline that I get when I'm with him that I've been afraid to admit for the longest time I've been missing. I don't have to prove myself when I'm with him. I don't feel inadequate. For someone who gets on my nerves like no one else can, I feel at ease with him. Tessa and Dane have it all wrong about their theories that he's in control of me, because being with him again has given me an exhilarating sense of freedom. Yesterday we spent most of the evening at DizzGo's. I was the same way by the end of it, so he drove me home early, but he had to stay in the guest bedroom at my grandma's house because he'd driven me home in my own car. He didn't want my grandma to know he was there, and I think the stress of that kept him up last night. Goodbye. It's all right. You don't have to explain. Make yourself comfortable. Still be here when I wake up. You're still here. It isn't too late for you to kiss me before you have to go home. It's not that late. I don't have to go home yet. Good. Then maybe I can keep you here a little longer. Where are you going? I was about to kiss you. I'm going to get your late lunch. I cooked for you while you were sleeping. Thanks, I think I'm a little hungry, but how long did I sleep? You slept 4 hours. 4 is in the number, or do you mean I slept 4 hours? It feels wrong eating this when you don't have one yourself. I already ate. Oh, and don't worry. I locked the door as soon as Drake left, so we won't have any distractions. This has to be the most time we've ever spent together. I know. Yesterday at this hour, I had already been here 2 hours. We weren't at DizzGo's? It took a little while for you to talk me into going. I know, and it's taking us longer still to... What is taking us so long? It's not only a big step, Jeanette. This is irreversible. I don't have any doubt about your feelings for me, and I don't think it's unhealthy. With all the effort you and I put into getting you with Dane, I'd be lying if I said I'm not a little bit threatened, but I thought you might still love him. Yes, you and I have something, but you and Dane had something too. What if you got something unfinished with him as well? Do you know what it feels like hearing you say that? I've done everything I could think of to prove I'm here because I want to be with you and no one else. What more could you possibly ask of me to make it more clear? Tell me you're not going to ask me to forget the best weekend I've had in a long time because you're sorry you've led me on and think I'm going to listen to you if you tell me to reconsider Dane, because I'm not. I'm not going to reconsider him, and I'm not going to listen if that's all you've got to tell me, Rudy. Don't you realize I pined away for Dane while the person I got close to was you? Look, I just think before this goes any further, you should call him. If you think that, then you're better off slaving your breath. That's not his business. Jeanette, that's not what I'm trying to say. I want to be there to be peace. I want there to be peace between the two of you. If you've not really completed your last arguments, please resolve them before we continue. Only then can I be sure it's really over and you're not going to end up back in his arms by the end. Our arguments can't be resolved. Then prove it to me. Why should I have to? Well, you don't have to, but at least then I know for certain that the relationship you had with him wouldn't have worked out, even if he hadn't broken up with you. It would not have lasted because it felt less and less like I knew him. I've been trying to tell you this. I can't expect you to know right now at this very moment. If you believe we'll last together ourselves, I guess I'm just still in shock that you're here. I'm not questioning what could make you want me. I'm only asking you to confirm that all this is really happening. I'm afraid I'll ruin everything, making things worse than it was before. Right now, you're still his. I was only fooling with you earlier when I said that technically Dane wasn't the first to touch you. I could set things right. Tell him you really do belong solely to him. If you love him, I will do that out of love for you. Rudy, I want to belong to you. I'm no longer Dane's anything. We're not even family, so don't talk about Dane for him to leave me over that, especially if it were true. Rudy, I was talking. Yeah, about Dane. You just said you didn't want to talk about him anymore. I took that as an invitation. Jeanette, I don't know what I love more, the way you let me off my leash, or the way you're never afraid to look me in the eye and tell me when you expected better behavior of me. Don't ever let me change anything about you. It's starting to feel real. Now that it is it all right? 6 months ago when you came over, your hands were trembling, and I thought you were afraid. But now I know how you felt. How I felt then. Want to know how I feel like now? I don't know about you, but I've been in this shirt too many hours. It's denim, too. That must have been uncomfortable to sleep in. Torturous. Whenever you're ready, you can help me out of this. Think of it as our start button. Are you ready to love without interruption? Rudy, we're not going to have any more interruption. I dealt with that. The door in this case can be used in place of your clothes. They serve the dual purpose of shutting me out and interrupting contact. Remind me, what was the deal we made before Drake showed up?